how are you? Yeah, great to see you. How are you?
Praise God.
Whoopsie. You gonna sit down, Mummy? What are you eating? Are you eating chocolate? Okay. I don't know how to begin.
What's
like,
that?
Those like two little
Oh,
candles.
just get
Okay, I think we're gonna start. If you all just sit down. Okay. Okay, so welcome everybody to the 40 Days for Life kickoff event. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, it's so great to see so many people, so thank you so much for just like coming out, and it's great to feel the enthusiasm. So I think it's going to be a great campaign. So tonight we're just going to introduce you to a few people who are going to tell you a little bit more about the campaign. I know that lots of you are here because you've been really excited about this from day one, and others of you are here because you're just you want to know more about 40 Days for Life before you sign up for it. So hopefully you come away with a solid understanding of what 40 Days for Life is, what it's going to involve, what to expect. So thank you so much for being here. And without further ado, I'm going to pass over to our first speaker, who's Robert Cahoon. Robert Cahoon is the director of the international campaigns 40 Days for Life. He's led the first campaign in this country and saw the closure of his local abortion centre. He now works to spread campaigns in nations as widespread as Australia, Croatia, New Zealand, Russia, and South Africa. So before we get going, I'm going to ask Robert to lead us in a word of prayer before we begin. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Honor. We'll just start with a prayer. So in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. And glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Great. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, Honor, for all the great work that you've been doing here. We're so proud of you as a new leader, as a new campaign here in Oxford. My name is Robert. I'm 41 years old. I live in Ampthill in Bedfordshire with my 5 children and my wife. And I've been doing this for 11 years full-time, 40 Days for Life. I was born in Oxford here in 1982 at the John Radcliffe. So this is a great place to do 40 Days for Life in Oxford. Not only you've got 2 universities here full of students, the most abortion-vulnerable population age in the country, you've also got an academia, a strong Christian community. You've also got a BPAS here. And I'm really excited to what God can do through your prayers, through your efforts here in Oxford. I've got no idea what's going to happen in your campaign, but I'm excited to see young people passionate, enthusiastic for life. 40 Days for Life is a great campaign. We pray and fast for an end to abortion. We do a peaceful vigil outside an abortion centre, praying peacefully, prayerfully, and legally for 12 hours a day for a 40-day time period. And when we do that, God can use our prayers beyond our wildest imagination. Sometimes we meet women who are abortion-minded, going for an abortion, who have a change of heart and mind. That's happened over 23,000 times with 40 Days for Life. That's just the results we know about. But we also witness powerfully to the public about the injustice of abortion. And this is an exciting mission. You're out on mission. And when you pray, consider how God can use your prayers for tremendous good here in Oxford. We had a teacher come to the prayer vigil one day, and he prayed for 1 hour at the vigil. He said, Lord, how can you use me for your glory? He went back to his school and took a pro-life message to 500 children at his school with a clear pro-life message. Another volunteer in Ealing handed out 100 leaflets during his hour of prayer when I joined him in Lent in Ealing, West London. Witnessed to over 100 people in just 1 hour with a simple leaflet. And some of them thanked him and some of them cursed him. But he did what God asked of him. What can God do with you in and through your work with this? And I'm excited. Maybe you might meet post-abortive women. We've had people meet 2, 3 post-abortive women over a 2-hour period, reaching out to save lives, inspire hearts and minds, and impact eternal souls. What our mission is to evangelize everybody, and we're to be the hands and feet of Christ in public. And there's some, I'd like you to, rather than think of changing the whole of society all at once, think about that one woman here in Oxford who's alone, who's afraid, who in a crisis pregnancy might not know anybody to be able to help, that you can be the hands and feet of Christ, and you can be that person that can rescue that life. And if you can imagine holding that baby in your hands, that baby that was scheduled to be aborted, but through your witness, through the courage of the mum, and through the power of prayer, that baby will be alive today thanks to your work. That emotionally, that's the most incredible experience you can have as a pro-lifer. And every single day, there's hundreds of abortions here in the United Kingdom, over 200,000 a year, 10 million abortions in the last 50 years in the UK. In other words, a city the size of London is missing from the United Kingdom. That's the scope and scale of the abortion issue in the last half decade here in the UK. And some of us are to lift up our hands and go, what can we possibly do? This is a hopeless situation. But it's not, because there is a tangible thing that we can do. You can stand and pray in public. And when you do that, then miracles can happen, great things. We have an incredible track record of 40 Days for Life in the UK. So we started a vigil in 2010. I thought, okay, this is just not going to work. Standing in public, praying, nobody's going to come, and it's going to be a complete failure. And nobody's who wants to pray in public, let alone pray outside an abortion centre, one of the most controversial places in society. Who's going to come? So trying to get people to come, say, look, try and get people to come. But I was blown away. We had hundreds of people participate in our first campaign, and we met people scheduled for an abortion who changed their minds because we were there. And on the second day, we had a change of heart and mind from our very first campaign. I knew everything, all the hard work, all the effort we put into it was worth it because people changed their minds and we made a difference in society. So what can God do in and through your work here in Oxford? Well, I've got no idea what God can do, but I'm really excited to find out what he can do. You've got a great team, you've got loads of enthusiasm, and in Birmingham, we've had a vigil since 2011. Over 100 babies saved from the Birmingham vigil. The abortion centre closed, and not only the abortion centre closed, when Mary Stopes lost their NHS contract, all the 5 referral centres they had also closed at the same time. So we have a hierarchy in 40 Days for Life. First you get ignored, and then you get ridiculed, and then you get persecuted, and then you win. So basically, if you're getting persecuted, you're doing really well. If you're getting taken to court, yeah, you're a top leader. If you're getting arrested, yeah, you're really top quality. So basically, it's a hierarchy, and the more flack you're getting, you need to have a thick skin to do this, and you need to not worry about what people say to you, and these people are going to walk past and tell you that you're number one, and what are they trying to tell you? People are going to tell you all sorts of nasty things, and the devil's going to send you discouragement, distraction, deflection. People are going to tell you you're not doing the right thing, or that you're a bigot, and whatever it is, you're going to have an interesting time with the students here in Oxford too, with all the wokery and everything else like that you're going to have a challenge. But that's an opportunity to evangelize, and every time somebody gives you flack, we need to make lemonade out of lemons. So every time somebody chucks you a lemon, turn it into lemonade and use it as an opportunity. So the 3 parts of 40 days, prayer and fasting. John Paul II said, prayer and fasting constitute the most powerful force in human history. So in other words, prayer is uniting the heart and mind to God. So just a 101 abortion, sort of absolute basics. God is the author of life and love. He invented us, he created us, we're made in his image and likeness. But he also made all the precious infants in the world as well, and that there's over 200,000 abortions in the UK alone. But we can be his hands and feet and witness, and we can save lives. Some babies are spiritually aborted, but they're not physically aborted. And you can be the last sign of hope for anybody going for an abortion. You can also be the first sign of mercy for anybody who's had an abortion as well. Some of the other track records in the UK, Nottingham, that was the 100th abortion centre to close following a campaign. The 2 vigils that we had in the UK, in central London, Marystopes, central London, that abortion centre closed. BPAS, the abortion centre closed there as well after 6 campaigns, 3,000 hours of prayer. So one of the BPAS staff came out to us, said, your prayers are obviously working because the girls aren't keeping their appointments. Now, when an atheist abortion employee comes to you and tells you that your prayers are working, what more testimony can be that the efficacy of prayer? And Abby Johnson, the Planned Parenthood Conference, said that the no-show rate when people are praying outside are as high as 75%. So in other words, when you're praying there and you're thinking, we've got a couple of grannies here and we're praying, and what good is this doing? Inside the abortion centre, all havoc is breaking loose because this is a spiritual issue. And when you're there with the love of Christ, we're talking about spiritual transfer of ownership from a culture of death to a culture of life. So your prayers can be, absolutely mind-blowing to the abortion lobby. And this is why they spent 10 years trying to get rid of our 40 Days campaign. This has been the best initiative that's happened in the last 25 years in the UK. And the whole point of 40 Days is that with God, all things are possible. So the whole point of the campaign is prayer, and it's God. And when we turn to God in a spirit of prayer and sacrifice and fasting, that he can use our prayers, he can use our witness beyond our wildest imagination. Just ask Isabel, who had been arrested for silently praying. Her story's gone all around the world. And I travel internationally, meet loads of people, and people go, this lady in the UK, her witness has traveled all around the world. So just one simple thought has had an international impact. So last week I did a mission trip to the Far East, to South Korea, to the Philippines, and also to Taiwan. And in South Korea, I met Pastor Lee. If you've seen the film Dropbox, he's the pastor who put a little box outside his presbytery because women were just leaving babies abandoned outside his presbytery. So as an initiative, he just left a box there for women who wanted to put their children up for an adoption. And he saved over 2,000 lives by this very simple process. And in Korea, over 600 women abandon their children every year. They don't want to be registered as single mums there. And so this simple little initiative, he's also adopted over 11 disabled children as well. This is just the power of one person. And if we turn to God in a spirit of prayer and think, Lord, how can you use me for your greater glory? Can you do all my thoughts, all my actions, all my words? 40 Days is a great starting point for the beginning of the end of abortion, because with prayer, this is a great foundation for spiritual change and to change our culture, to build a culture of life instead of a culture of death. So Pastor Lee was incredible. They've done a 40 Days campaign in South Korea 3 times now. It's run by the diocese there. And I went on to Taiwan, which has got the lowest birth rate in the world in 2021. 1.07 children born every year in 2021. It's a 23 million population there. There's one Argentinian missionary nun who's our leader in Taiwan, and she's led a 40 Days campaign there. She's had 1,000 volunteers. She started the March for Life there. They've got 6 cities now, 2,000 people who came to the main march there, and the mayor attended as well. This is just one person. So, say not that I'm too young, and I'm so impressed with your zeal and with your passion and your enthusiasm. This is a hard country. We live in a spiritual desert in the UK, and it's a hard country, and this work is hard. You need a thick skin, and just give it absolutely everything. This campaign's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's a focused, intense campaign, but it can be replicated and again and again. And I hope that you'll have many grace-filled results. You might see people who change their minds. You might meet post-abortive men and women, the witness that you can have to students. Community outreach is taking a positive and upbeat message to the whole community. So there's lots of different ways you can do community outreach. You can reach the schools, universities, reach the parishes. And there's a strong Christian community here in Oxford as well, galvanising the Christian community to a sense of mission. This is some of the most, pro-life work is the most important work that we can possibly do in this country. And also, do you think, to think, at the end of our life, God will ask us, well, what did you do when my precious children were being killed at a rate of 200,000 a year? And we can't say, well, I asked my MP to write a letter to my MP. That's not a great answer. Guy meets Jesus at the Last Judgment, and Jesus says to him, where are your wounds? And he says, well, I don't have any. And he said, well, why not? Was there nothing worth fighting for? And this is our chance to witness, to pray in public. And this country, we're being shut down in terms of free speech. They're trying to ban the vigils, but this is because they work, and that your witness is really powerful. So encourage as many people as you can to join the vigil. And I hope this is a foundation here in Oxford. It's so great when we get new campaigns. This is a foundation for, we might have people praying in 10 years' time in Oxford because of what you've started here today. We had a vigil in Twickenham in West London. It's a late-term abortion centre in Twickenham, West London. There's a buffer zone there now. It used to be a nuns' convent in the 1960s, the building, Roslyn Road, there, and the abortion law came in 1967. The nuns sold the building, and it was bought by BPAS. It's now a late-term abortion centre. But we had one volunteer called Justina Pasek. She was a Polish lady, and she did a 40 days campaign. She saved 10 lives, and then she went on to do full-time witness year-round there with the Good Counsel Network. Every week, she saved 1 or 2 lives from abortion. Cumulatively, she saved 500 lives from abortion over 5 years of doing pavement counselling. People insulted her, people are rude to her, she got attacked by the media, and the usual shenanigans, but her witness there was probably one of the most powerful in the UK overall. From one volunteer with a whole team of people saved over 100 lives. In Ealing in West London, we had a campaign in Lent 2013, and that abortion centre, there's 50, 100 appointments every single day. It's a busy, nearly 10,000 abortions in Ealing in West London. I think there's less now. But Lent 2013, Good Counsel were there. They led one of the best campaigns, and 23 women changed their mind in one 40 days campaign. That was a record for the UK. There was one lady who was holding the abortion pill in her hand, and they misdiagnosed her blood results, and they said, oh no, this isn't the right thing, and she was literally seconds away from having the abortion. She ended up choosing life for her unborn baby. She gave a testimony at our vigil, our opening event in the Oratory in London in 2017. A 2-year-old child at her feet as she gave the testimony. So we've also had a woman who jumped out the window of the Ealing Abortion Centre and escaped from a family trying to coerce her into abortion. It's never a boring place, the prayer vigil, and you've got to have courage. To step out in public and pray, you've got to have courage. So take courage and trust in God. And also you've got to ask for bold things as well. In Birmingham, they just prayed on a Saturday morning for an hour or two before 40 days, and they did a Jericho march around the abortion centre. But when they started praying round the clock, in Birmingham, that's when we saw the place closed. We saw 100 lives saved, and all the spiritual blessings that have happened there. So everything's up for grabs here in Oxford. To whom much is given, much is expected, and all it takes for evil to flourish is people to do nothing. So I'm so inspired by the fact you've signed up here, and I'm really excited what God can do in and through you. I've had a schooling of what it means to do mission work in the Philippines. We got the major pro-life Philippines. They've got 3 staff now. They're going to start a campaign. We met the bishop. He does marriage and family there. Some of the ministries in the Philippines are huge. So it's the largest Christian nation in Asia, 113 million people there. Couples for Christ is a huge international ministry from the Philippines. There was a priest, they'd started a centre helping school children, the street children. So you'd see street children out who are kind of in poverty and offering them an education. He now has 20 centres all across the Philippines helping street children. Some of the nuns there, they had a mercy centre, an orphanage, educating children as well. This is mission work, and there's so much good to be done in the pro-life movement here in the UK. We're paying for and exporting abortions internationally to Africa, to even where countries are illegal. So we need new leaders, we need inspiration, we need hearts and minds saved in this country. So be bold and do great things. I'm excited to what you can do here in Oxford. There's so many blessings that we've seen. When the abortion centre closed in London, that was something I never thought possible. It was beyond my wildest imaginations from starting a campaign. And that's something here possible too. And you'll get the kickback from BPAS, you'll have all these challenges, but don't focus on the trolls or the problems or the students, whatever it is. Just focus on prayer and focus on doing a great job and fulfill your ministry, fulfill your mission to what you're called to do. And no doubt you will see great things happen here. I hope you see many miracles here in Oxford. This is the way that God's used our campaign so far. It's been the babies that have been saved from abortion, reaching out to post-abortive men and women as well. It's helping build a culture of life through community outreach, developing dynamic leaders, getting media stories, increased financial efforts of pro-life, getting new organisations started. These are some of the blessings that have happened through 40 Days for Life here in the UK. So I don't want to take up any time with the other speakers, but just go for it. Give this absolutely everything. If you can say at the end of this campaign, well, I just gave this absolutely everything. So if you want to sign up for like one particular time every single week, if you can say at the end of the campaign, I gave this absolutely everything, I gave this my all, that's the place you want to be. It's only 6 weeks and then it's over, and then you can start all over again and get a year-round vigil going too. So thank you so much indeed for listening. May God bless you. Be around for questions at the end afterwards. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much for that, Robert. Now I'm going to hand over to our second speaker, who is Dr. Dermot Kearney. Dr. Dermot Kearney is the former president of the Catholic Medical Association, and he's helped save many babies by the abortion reversal pill, and there are more babies expected to come in the coming weeks and months. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Dermot.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, this is not a uniform. I've got the same shirt. It's just coincidence. As Honor said, I'm Dermot Kearney. I'm a cardiologist and a general medical physician working in the northeast of England. But through my work with the Catholic Medical Association, we were approached initially in 2014 and then again in 2018 by 2 different pro-life groups asking, could we help with women who were coming to them, and at this stage we have to admit none of us knew anything about this possibility, women who had taken the first abortion pill and changed their minds and wondered was there anything that could be done to help them to save their babies. So 2014 there wasn't a lot of information. Jack Scarisbrick from Life, who approached us at that time, he had heard from 2012 to that time that some babies had been saved in America because they had already established an abortion pill reversal network service in America at that time. So 2014 there wasn't a lot of information, but by 2018 when Claire McCulloch from Good Life came to us, a lot more information had come on board, and we decided we promised Claire that we would take this seriously, we would look into it. I went to America to meet some of the pioneers of the movement, and we agreed that we would set up, try to establish this service in the UK. It was met with a lot of resistance, which I'll mention briefly later on. First of all, some of you may not be aware that the vast majority, 90% of abortions in the UK are performed by drugs, by medications. 10% are still performed by surgical means. They tend to be later abortions. But 90% plus are done by taking 2 tablets. The first tablet is called mifepristone, which is specifically designed to block progesterone receptors. Now, progesterone is a hormone that's essential for maintaining pregnancy. Progesterone means progestation, pro-pregnancy. So it's essential, and it's produced naturally in a mother's body to maintain the pregnancy. So if that hormone is blocked from having its effect, which is done by the drug, the lining of the womb basically disintegrates or comes away. The baby dies in the vast majority of cases. The second drug is taken 1 or 2 days later, called misoprostol. That's a prostaglandin that causes intense uterine contraction of the womb to expel the baby, either at the embryo or the fetal stage of life, usually deceased by that stage, to expel the baby and the other products of conception. And if a mother takes both abortion pills, so she takes the first mifepristone and then follows up as instructed by the abortion people with the second pill, there's a 98 to 99% chance that her baby will die, will not survive. Some of them, the baby will die and there'll be still some retained tissues within the uterus. So about 6 to 7% have to undergo a surgical procedure, even though they've taken the pills as they had been instructed. So there are complications but I don't want to go into that. But 98 to 99% of times the baby will die. If the mother takes the first abortion pill, mifepristone, doesn't, for whatever reason, take the second pill, but if she doesn't get help from myself or others like me with progesterone treatment, because that's what we offer, there's about a 20% chance her baby still might survive. Now, that depends on a number of factors, particularly the stage of pregnancy. If it's 5 or 6, 7 weeks, much less than 20%. If it's 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks, there's a better, possibly better than 20%, but overall about a 20% chance that the baby might survive if she doesn't take the second pill. If, as what we offer, if she takes the first abortion pill, doesn't take the second abortion pill, but manages to get progesterone treatment, we can more than double that survival rate. So the survival rate in the UK is between 50 and 55%. So it's still not 100%. We would like it to be, but it's not going to work every time. Sometimes because it's too late, the abortion has already occurred. Then for other reasons, that it may not always work. The United States, where they've been doing this for 13 years now, over 4,500 babies have been born whose mothers availed of the abortion pill reversal service. So 4,500 babies in just over 10 years is a pretty good record. Their survival rate is over 65%. And that's largely because, first of all, there's a greater awareness, so women get the treatment much quicker than they do in this country. And in fact, in some states, it's mandatory that mothers must be told that if they're having a chemical abortion, that there is an option for them to get progesterone to try and save their babies. So they don't like to have to tell them that, but by law, they have to tell them in some states. And also, possibly even more importantly, the United States has a great access to immediate ultrasound. So if a mother changes her mind, she goes to a doctor who provides the abortion reversal treatment to get an ultrasound straight away, so they can see that if the baby is still viable. Whereas we don't have that luxury. We just, in blind faith, start the treatment, try and get an ultrasound done 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days later. And in some cases, we'd probably start the treatment when the baby may already have passed away. So our success rates are 50 to 55%. That doesn't sound a lot, but the way I look at it in terms of medicine, if you take any condition, for example, cardiac arrest, someone has a heart attack, collapses, their heart stops, they pass out in the community, there's probably about an 80 to 90% chance that they will not survive. If nobody resuscitates them, there's a 100% chance they'll survive. If there's somebody on hand to start resuscitation and possibly get them to hospital with an ambulance and defibrillate them and so on, there's a chance that they might survive, but the overall chance is less than, it's well below 20%. If there was some form of treatment for any condition, I just took cardiac arrest as an example, that if you could take a certain mortality rate of 80% and reduce that down to 50%, or even less than 50%, that would be, you'd be up for Nobel Prize in the morning for a wonderful advancement in medicine. And that's really what we're talking about when we come to using simple treatment of natural hormone progesterone for treatment of a condition that is very likely, about 80% of the time, is going to cause certain death. If you can reduce that certain death rate down to less than 50%, that is a remarkable achievement. We would like it to be higher, of course, and with greater awareness and maybe with increased access to ultrasound, we possibly might be able to improve that survival rate. As I said, in the United States, 4,500 babies have already been saved. In the UK, we started late. We didn't start until 2020. We were interrupted rudely by pro-abortion industry in 2021. And then we started again sort of later in 2022 and up to date. So up to date, 54 babies have been born that we know of in the United Kingdom. There's another about 10 well on the way at this stage, and hopefully there many more will follow. The treatment we give is progesterone. As I mentioned, the first abortion pill, mifepristone, it specifically blocks the actions of natural progesterone, which is essential to contain the pregnancy. So basically it binds to progesterone receptors in the mother's body, and progesterone can't have its effect, and the abortion happens. By giving the rationale for it, or the reason for it, is by giving enough progesterone, and usually we give high dose for the first 3 days, we can help in some cases, so more than 50% of cases, we can help to overcome the effect of the mifepristone progesterone blocking treatment. So just as mifepristone can block the action of progesterone, by giving enough supplemental or additional progesterone, we can in turn, in many cases, block the action of the continuing action of the mifepristone. So our success rate overall is 50-55%. We would like it to be higher. we have faced a lot of opposition. We were stopped doing the service in 2021 when we were, myself and the other doctor, Eileen Riley from Glasgow, who had been providing the service. We were reported to the General Medical Council for alleged professional misconduct, that we were enforcing our beliefs on young vulnerable women, that we were giving a medication that wasn't licensed, that we were putting women at harm's risk, that we were doing terrible things. But and we were stopped. We had to face a tribunal, and both of us were threatened. The GMC wanted to suspend us completely from all medical work for 18 months. That was the maximum penalty that they could impose. The tribunal thought that would be a bit disproportionate, because if you think back to 2021, that was at the height of COVID, and they were trying to bring doctors back from the dead and all sorts of places to fill spaces and fill gaps. So and myself and Eileen we had no other blemishes on our record. So they stopped us from doing the abortion reversal treatment, pending investigation, but they allowed us to continue our other normal NHS work while it was investigated. I thought there was very little we could do with that, because the GMC is a very powerful body, but a wonderful group called Christian Concern, led by a terrific lady called Andrea Williams, said, no, this is not just. We are going to fight this. And they did. We went through the formalities of attending hearings, and it was very strange. And the legal people in Christian Concern thought it was very strange, because they're used to taking cases to the High Court and proper courts, secular courts. And they were told at the GMC court system that, oh no, we don't look at any evidence, we only look at the allegations. And they said, what? So they decided, this is ridiculous. So they basically called it a kangaroo court. So we got evidence, and the most important evidence we got was from the mothers themselves. So we just got 10 statements. We could have got 40, 50 statements by that stage, but we got 10 statements. Some of the mothers had their babies. Some were still pregnant or waiting to have their babies. Some of them had tried the treatment, it hadn't worked, but they were so grateful, and that was a very important aspect of it. They were so grateful that somebody had tried to help them when nobody else would. And then we even got 2 statements from women who had decided not to go ahead with the progesterone treatment, but to go ahead with the abortion. And then they regretted that they'd made that decision, but they were very happy to support what we were doing. So they're able to show that neither myself nor Dr. Riley were putting anyone under pressure, that it was their decision. We were there to offer the help, that they voluntarily came to us. And we challenged it. Initially, the GMC were very reluctant to listen to anything we had to say, so we decided we took them to the High Court. So we sued the GMC, and 1 week before a scheduled High Court appearance, the GMC backed down, and they dropped in my case, they dropped the charges of the allegations against me, and said the phrase that they used was, there was no prospect of finding any evidence to support any of the allegations. Interestingly, Eileen's case wasn't dropped until 6 weeks later, because she hadn't gone with Christian Concern. She had gone with a secular body that basically told her, keep your head down, just don't make it any worse, don't challenge this, let's see what happens. But once my case had been dropped, it was exactly the same circumstances, so they had to drop Eileen's case as well. So we were allowed to continue offering the treatment at that stage. And the process, what happens is the vast majority of mothers who come to us, most of them go back to BPAS or Mary Stopes or whoever has provided the abortion pill in the first place. A lot of them are done over the phone, especially nowadays. They go back and they say, I've taken the first pill, but I've changed my mind. I want to save my baby. And they're, by and large, they're told, I think universally they're told, nothing you can do, just don't take the second pill. Or some of them are even told, oh, you must take the second pill against their will. But they're not told anything about abortion pill reversal. In fact, now it's been confirmed to me by some of the recent mothers that they're actually being told, do not believe there is such a thing as abortion pill reversal. So they're actively lying to their clients that it might be possible to save the baby, because they know that we are having an effect. So they have to. The whole of the abortion industry is based on lies and instilling fear. That's the 2 key cornerstones of the abortion industry. Ours are truth and honesty and courage. So we're the opposite of telling lies and instilling fear. So they're told, sorry, there's nothing you can do. And some of the girls presumably just go ahead with the abortion at that stage. Those who are courageous enough and who are determined to try and save their baby then take it a bit further. So some of them may already have heard about this type of service we can offer. Some go onto the internet, and if they put in abortionpillreversal.com, they'll get an American helpline. So by and large, myself and some other doctors in this country are registered with a group called Heartbeat International that run a worldwide 24-hour-a-day service, and with trained nurses who are very understanding, very sympathetic. They take the calls and they say, and where are you ringing from, or by email or by telephone? And they say, I'm ringing from England or Scotland or Wales. Say, oh, we have some doctors in that part of the world that might be able to help you. So they put them, with the permission of the mothers, they put them in contact with us, then we take it over. If they're in a different part of the country, which they invariably are, I'm in the northeast and I get calls from all over the country. I got one recently earlier this week from the northwest. Actually, one on my way down here today, I got a WhatsApp message from a nurse in America asking could I help a lady in the close to this area, actually, to the Midlands area. But I had to say that I was away, I was traveling all day, but I was able to pass her on to one of the other doctors who hopefully was able to help that lady. It was early in the afternoon, so she should have been able to get treatment. Because then we have to try and arrange with a local pharmacy for, first of all, to check, do they have progesterone in stock? And it comes in two forms, either tablet form, a form called Utrogestin, or vaginal pessary form. Most of the mothers I have helped use the tablet form. Unless they're vomiting profusely and they're not able to take tablets, then we tend to go for the vaginal pessaries. It's exactly the same dose, by the way. One of the accusations that we're using super doses or dangerously high doses of progesterone is exactly the same dose that's recommended for prevention of miscarriage. 400 ml. In fact, it's less because we only give the higher dose for 3 days and then we drop it down, whereas for prevention of miscarriage, they continue the higher dose until about 12 weeks of pregnancy. The reason for 12 weeks, we continue till 12 weeks as well. Because at 12 weeks, the placenta, by that stage, is already producing enough progesterone that we shouldn't need to continue with the treatment. Some of the girls have been over 12 weeks that have contacted me, and then I just give them 2 weeks of treatment, just to make sure that the mifepristone is well and truly washed out of their system. And I won't take any more time, because again, I'm very happy to answer any questions at the end, but I'm so glad that you're all here tonight. Please continue what you're doing, and never, every time I give a talk on this issue, I always say never give up, never tire of doing what's right, never tire of doing what's right. Just keep it going, and thank you very much.
Much, Dr. Dermot. Now I'd like to hand over to our final speaker, who is Amrita. Amrita's been helped by Dr. Dermot and will share her story of the abortion of birth fulfilled. Thank you very much, Amrita. Over to you.
Hello. I've never spoken about anything in front of me, so I might be a bit nervous. But yeah, my name is Amrita. I'm basically here just to tell you my story. I was 26 when I got pregnant. It was an unplanned pregnancy, and I think that's very, very, very common nowadays. Me and Patrick, we ended up having an unplanned pregnancy. We were at a stage in our life where I was with my stepdad. I wasn't careful, sorry. I was not financially stable. And even was he, we were trying to build a business, we were trying to make something of our life. So we definitely weren't in a place where most people that have children are, that I thought they were. So Patrick grew up religious, so he had a different view on what to happen if you if you get pregnant. And my surrounding, my social norms was, if you have an unplanned pregnancy, you have an abortion. There is no oh, okay, well, what if you don't have an abortion, or can this help, or can people help you, or this and this? You have an abortion. So that was my initial thought. And then until Patrick said to me, okay, well, I don't want that to happen. And he gave me his thoughts, and he gave me his what he thought about it, which I very much respect, because he would be the dad, so he still has a say. So I said, okay, out of respect, let's look into it. But I said the best people to tell us how abortion works, and if it's safe for me, if it's, what will happen, maybe what are the options if I don't have an abortion, would be BPAS. So we called them and we booked an appointment for a week after the day that we called them. That week was very, very hard. We tried not to tell anyone. We told our parents, but we told no one else. And we just kept to ourselves. Every evening we would just sit down and cry and we'd be like, what are we doing? Like, what can we do? We're not in a place where we can have a child, but, you know, we're not on the same page about not having a child. So it was very difficult. So that whole week was very, very frustrating. And then we went, finally the call with BPAS came. So we sat there and it was over the phone because it was when lockdown was happening, well, towards the end. It was over the phone, and we had these lists of questions about the moral side of abortion and, okay, well, what will happen if this happens, like just basically our minds went like in overdrive. So a list of questions, and we just, as soon as she answered the phone, Paddy asked the first question. And as soon as she heard his voice, she said he has to leave the room, which was already, to me, a red flag, because he should have a say. If I kept the child or didn't keep the child, he should still have a say. So I thought, okay, this is not going how I want to go, because I want him to hear everything and then we can think about it afterwards. So he didn't leave the room. But so after that, I said, okay, and I started off with my first question. And she said, oh, okay, well, that's not what we do. It's a simple answer of, do you want an abortion or not? And out of panic, I said yes, because the abortion would be sent to me. And I thought, okay, well, I've already waited a week for this. I'm getting towards the point where maybe I can't have an abortion. It won't be an option anymore. I don't know what I want. So I said yes, and we both cried, and we just basically ignored it as much as we could until the pill came. And it came about 3 or 4 or 5 days later, and it just sat there in my bag. And I just kept it in my bag, took it everywhere with me, just hoping that at one point I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to have an abortion. Like, it's going to be done. But it was something inside me that just couldn't let that happen. And it didn't sit right. But in my mind, I was like, okay, well, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't sit right. But everyone else having abortions, it's such a normal thing. Like, it felt like I was being more judged by having a child outside of being in a relationship or even being married or anything, like not having a plan, not being financially stable, not having a house. I was going to be more judged for possibly becoming a single parent than actually having an abortion. There was one point where I asked my best friend about it, and I brought it to her and I said to her, and I said, what do you think I should do? And she said, well, realistically, I don't think you're mature enough to have a kid. And I thought, okay, well, that doesn't seem like a good enough reason to me. So I was a bit like, okay, well, these reasons that people are giving me just seem so relevant to an actual, well, at that point, I guess, like, what I felt like was something that I was very quite connected to in my stomach. So I was like, okay, well, all these reasons, people can give me 101, and I'm just like, okay, well, what do I do? Because they don't make sense. So I carried the pill, and then there was one day I was sitting on the sofa, and I was just like, okay, I was more sick of making this, like, having to make a decision rather than being pregnant or not being pregnant at the point. I was just like, okay, I just need to make a decision, like, this is so heavy. And then I ended up sitting there, and I was thinking about finances, I was thinking about housing, I was thinking about everything, and I just said to Paddy, I was just like, I just need to take it, and he was like, well, obviously he wasn't going to force me not to. So within seconds, after having them thoughts and saying to Paddy, I grabbed the pill and had it, and within not even a second, I started crying, and I was like, I regret this straight away. And I was just like, how is this normal? How's no one told me the feeling that you get after taking the pill? So I cried and I cried and I cried, and then I had to go to work, so I went to work, and then and try to act normal, because that's what people do. People take the pills and go to work and go shopping and do normal stuff. So that's what I did, and I got to my job, and I texted a friend, and I said that I already knew that I had an abortion a few months before that. What do I do now? How did you feel after? Like, I feel so much regret. And they were like, oh, that's normal. That's just what you go through. And I was like, oh, okay. To me, it was just horrific. And I just felt this, like, all of a sudden, it's like, feel of like, okay, I need to save this child. Like, this was not for me. This was for everyone else's thought on what the social norm was at that point, like, around me. So I called up BPAS, and I explained to them, I said, I took the first pill. I don't know what to do, and I need to save my baby. And the woman was very calm. She wasn't picking up my panic at all. It was almost like, oh, okay, another one. Here we go. So I was like, I explained how I explained the situation. She was like, oh, okay, we get this all the time. all you have to do is just don't take the other pill. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem like normal. It doesn't seem like that should be the thing. She didn't seem panicked. She didn't seem like it was important to her. So I said, okay, fine. And then I didn't feel relief. I still felt panic. So I Googled and I found Dr. Emmett. And I contacted him and I explained my situation. There was no judgment, nothing. And I believe it was that evening that Dr. Dermot said that he will send a progesterone pill to me. And so the nurse on BPAS said, if you don't bleed, then you're fine. So that next morning I started. It was very, very small, but in my mind I was like, okay, this is the beginning of having an abortion. So I panicked and I woke up that morning and I rushed to the pharmacy. The reason I didn't get night before is because it was closed. So I rushed that morning and I went to go to the pharmacy and I grabbed the pill. And as soon as I took it, I felt relief now, but I was very, very nervous because I was like, okay, obviously you don't know what's happening in your body. So then I went for, I believe it was an 8-week scan, and I found out she was absolutely fine. And I was very, very relieved. But yeah, throughout the pregnancy, I was just very panicked, and I felt this guilt of, oh, I took the first pill. What if that affects her? What if this? And so it was a constant thing, and I think the more and more I do talks like this, the more I realise with stories I hear and people that speak how much information women and men don't know. I think that's one of the most upsetting things, is that, especially with women, you don't know what's going through your body. You don't know like what's actually happening. And the more, since going through a situation myself, I've heard loads of stories of women that have had abortions, or gone, had the first pill and been like, okay, that's my, and afterwards, like, their reasoning for it is, oh, that was my only option. I was going in this situation. And I'm just like, but there's not one option. And I try my best to explain to other people, is that you can say, okay, well, I don't know, I guess like, oh, this is what will happen if you don't have an abortion, or this and this. But the one thing that I really felt is the people around me constantly was there. They were so helpful, so comforting, and I don't have the most supportive family. So having people around me when I decided to not have an abortion was incredible. And I think that's the most amazing thing you give to people that are going through this, whether they have abortion or whether they don't, is to give them support. Oh, I forgot to end my story. So on the 7th, so sorry, I got really emotional about it. So yeah, I ended up, on the 2nd of November, I ended up having my baby girl, fully healthy. You probably heard her. But yeah, the thing is, I realised there's not one person, as far as I'm aware, that I've heard loads of stories, that will sit there and be like, I regret having my child. But there's millions of women that have an abortion and will say they regret having an abortion. Yeah, and it's incredible. There's not one day that me and Paddy, and this is not being over exaggerating, it's not one day that we don't sit and say, we are so incredibly grateful to have her, and we don't know how our lives would be. And it was the fear of the unknown. That's what we were scared of. But yeah, we were very incredibly grateful to Dr. Emma and everything that he's done for us. And yeah, we actually don't know where we would be, and if we didn't have little Ara. Yeah, we fully believe that Dr. Emma saved her life. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our speakers, and yeah, just again, thank you so much for coming. So I just wanted to remind you that at the back of the room we have Sarah and Tom, who are some of our visual coordinators. So if you haven't already, I just really want to encourage you to sign up to the campaign. Yeah, so if you haven't already, please, before you leave, they're very happy to plug you in. If you don't know how to do it, you can access the calendar online and you can do it yourself, or it might be easier for some to go and speak to them and they'll put you in. So yeah, just a few details. We did have a change. We started off with a different location. Now we're going to be outside BPAS on Rectory Road, and our campaign is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's all on the flyers and leaflets, which should be around the place and on the different churches. Yeah, and then just another thing is at the back of the room we have some guides. So the part of what will be involved in this is actually getting a chance to speak to women. So I would really encourage you to have a look at those guides. Sarah's holding them up now. They're the grey ones. And just familiarise yourselves with that, and maybe it'll make you feel more confident to go and do that. We also have these leaflets, which are to give specifically to the women who we'll be speaking to if they want them. So they're there as well. Sorry, bear with me. Yes, okay, so yeah, I just wanted to end finally just to encourage you all. So 40 days is only 40 days. So please be generous. And this is going to look differently for everybody. Some of you can give more time, less time, but if it's a shift, one shift, if it's 40 shifts, it's totally worth it. So please, yeah, be generous. And it's going to be great. I'm going to have the closing event on Saturday, the 4th of November. So yes, let's do this. Thank you. We're going to get some pizza. Sorry, yes. Shall I go back up?
People like me that don't know exactly like the steps of what we do from signing up to how the hour goes, where we're going to be standing, how we're going to be praying, how many people will be there. Could you just step by step tell us what it will be like?
Yeah, okay, so there's going to be 2 people for every shift. So, yeah, that's the first thing. And, sorry, can you give me, like, the questions?
I've never done this before, and I'm assuming other people haven't, so I've never looked at the website yet. I intend to in a minute, but
Okay,
what to expect, what's expected of us, the practicalities,
okay.
just everything blow by blow, if you could
Okay,
outline
so,
it.
yeah, so the link is all on the flyers. So the first thing I'd say is to go and follow that link, and it'll take you to the local webpage. So that's for Oxford specifically. This is for our local campaign. It should have all the information for our local campaign, the time. It also, every time you sign up to do a slot, it'll take you automatically to a statement of peace. So this statement of peace it's really important that you do that, because 40 Days for Life is all about peaceful vigil. So we really need to make sure that we're really acting peacefully and nothing questionable. We don't want to be getting in any trouble. So I'd say that's the next thing. Yeah, and I don't know what else to clarify.
So if I sign up, and I get a buddy to sign up,
Yeah.
and then say it's 7 a.m. So I go along to Rectory Road, and then we stand straight outside the clinic.
Yes. So the abortion clinic looks like another house along the road. So there's just a pavement. So we're going to be standing directly on Rectory Road, just on Rectory Road on the pavement outside the abortion centre. Yeah. So we'll just be there, 2 people.
And
I think you just need to sign up and turn up for your time.
Find the leaflets when we turn up at 7 a.m.
Yes, good question. So about this, we haven't so there's a person who lives on Rectory Road. He lives a couple of doors down from the abortion centre. We just need to firm up just a few things, but I'll be sending out an email, and basically they're going to store the leaflet box in their house. And the idea will be just to go a little bit before the first person who comes on their shift at 7 a.m. will need to go and just ask them to collect the leaflet box. And the last person at 7 p.m. will need to just go and drop it off again at the house. That makes sense. Any more questions?
The law hasn't come into force yet.
No. So the buffer zones haven't come in yet. They haven't been enforced yet. We don't know anything about them. We don't know what the details are. They haven't said. So as long as they haven't, we'll be fine.
Is there like a uniform or like a t-shirt you're wearing or people are wearing to recognise?
No, there is some 40 Days for Life t-shirts. We haven't got around to making some, but you'd be welcome to purchase one. You can go onto the 40 Days for Life website to get that. Yeah, is that probably the best place to go, or is it best to make one yourself?
T-shirts locally, or it's really up to you in terms of
Okay.
but it's maybe you've got the leaflets, and I think the first
Okay.
Visual coordinator, any questions? Creative visual coordinator.
Okay. There we go. No, they were just happy. No, they weren't happy. That's not true. Yeah, it was good. We just told them, well, we introduced ourselves. Catherine and I went with Isabel, and we just showed our faces and said, we're going to be doing this. It's going to start on the 27th of November. We're going to be here. And yeah, so they know we're here. And we have their number. Did I say November? Oh, sorry, September. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the case that we should only hand out, I'm assuming that we shouldn't hand out anything that's not approved, that's not in the box. So we shouldn't
No.
be bringing any other images or leaflets or anything.
No, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't. Yeah, we have some great leaflets here that.
So that's all we're authorised to hand out, right? Just to
Yes.
keep it all, so we're all doing the same thing. And
Good point.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, we're all on the same page. Yeah, just keep to the leaflets. That would be great. Yes.
And are we only handing them out to people who like approach, or do you hand them out to anybody who's passing by? What's that?
Okay, so these leaflets are specifically for the women going in. I think you could hand them out to people on the side, on the pavement. There are other ones that the other campaign, because this is from Isabel, from the Birmingham campaign. I know that they do have separate ones to give out to passers-by, but I think these are fine to hand out to passers-by as well. But but these are primarily for the women, so I would just stick to giving them to the women, unless somebody really wants some more information.
Well, I could be wrong about this, but in my head, because I've passed by that clinic quite a lot, there are other services down in that building. So say people are going in, and we're not, presumably we don't know what they're going in for, do we just peg their heads, or like, how do you know?
Well, it is an abortion clinic, so primarily it will only be women going in for abortions. So I would just be bold and look for the opportunities.
So people who are younger than 18 by the time, are they still able to have to use them just for men?
To hand out leaflets.
Is there like you have to be over 18 to participate, or can people that are
No, you can participate when you're not 18. There's actually on the statement of peace, there's a parental consent that you can make. So yeah. Any other questions?
Abortion reversal.
Yes. So, well, that's a good point. So, yeah, I wouldn't say to people, so just be really, about the abortion reversal pill, it's a referral that we would make. So if we can encounter somebody who wants to chat, then you can mention to that individual person about the abortion reversal pill, and we will pass them on to you, if that's okay. Yeah.
I'm happy to take directly. They don't have to go through the American.
Okay.
Most of them do come through the American, but if any pro-life organisations, most of them have my contact details.
Mm-hmm.
The contact details of other doctors that we were happy to take direct.
Brilliant.
And even if the mother just wants to discuss it, we're not going to explain everything to them. We're not going to force them to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So it's okay because nobody's expecting you to be a medical professional. You're just there to offer that woman that second chance, that second option that they haven't had. So it's really just about praying and just being, just handing them the leaflet if they want it, and being very peaceful. And let's try it. Thank you very much for coming. Please help yourself to more pizza and more donuts. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. You've done a brilliant job.
Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Oh, it's great. No, it's good. It's good. Like, there's good questions, and it's like, don't worry about it. Like, that's your first day. Like, hang on, it's like you're doing something impossible from scratch. Like, I remember the first time we started, we had no idea what we were doing.